the approval of the annual minutes. Sorry they were a month late, guys.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, the annual minutes that's written.
I just want to, I'm sorry, Antonio.
Go right ahead.
I'm Trisha Visconti, not trivia.
Yeah.
And I want to let you know that every time I print my name, Trisha, it always comes up trivia and I have to correct it. So not a big deal, but
It's funny because I went back and looked at that, and on my original, it says Trisha. So I don't know, maybe we hit something when we were doing things, or
Audrey, I think that's on me.
Right. It could be an automatic correct, and it's the wrong correction.
But I am sorry about that, Trisha.
no, that's, like I said, it's not really, yes, it's a correction, but it's not a correction on anybody's word because it happens to me all the time when I write my name, Trisha.
Okay. Okay, so Antonio made a motion, and maybe we'll say with the correction of Trisha's name.
It's really
Yes.
not necessary to.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. And does everyone approve?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. Then we can go to the August 9th minutes.
I just had one clarification question. Under new business, the last sentence of the last sentence, sorry, of the third point, it says, due to the CDC changes occurring, this will be, oh, never mind, I read it wrong. Never mind, it was perfect, Audrey. As I was reading it out loud, I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense now.
Anybody else? Does anybody else want to make any comments?
Yes, I think freezes is misspelled, that's all. Under new business, I think there was an extra E. It's FRES.
FRES. Oh, okay.
That was the only thing that was.
Okay. Audrey, thanks so much. You did a beautiful job. So would anyone like to make a motion to accept these from
I
Tricia?
make a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
From Antonio? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. Okay. We'll move to Judith and her director's reports.
Okay, sure. Let me share my screen here. Screen share. And let's see. That's our streaming software you're seeing right now. Let me minimize that. And okay. So since last month, been pretty busy, a lot of programming. Let me get a slideshow started here. All my controls are covering up one another. Here we go, present. Okay. So August was kind of the tail end of summer reading. We had a magician in the park for our grand finale. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there. Liz ran the show. I heard really good feedback. I love a good magic show. And we had, I think we had 75 people there. So we're pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
So that's nice to see. So that was the grand end of summer. We did another big play day. That translates really well to outside. Kathy Meyer spends a lot of time and does a really good job at this. She comes up with these great activities for the kids, and then kind of cues that guide the parents a little bit in kind of, I don't want to say educational, but kind of constructive ways of interacting with your kids and engaging them as they play. This was another program that was a lot of fun. Back in August, this is Alex, who is our newest librarian. He came up with a program. It was Nerf science. So all the kids had Nerf guns, and they had to shoot the guns at different angles of trajectory and kind of make predictions about which angle of trajectory would have the guns go furthest. And I had a parent come back in afterwards and saying, who is this guy and how did he get, like, the kids all lined up, they helped each other, they took notes. It went really well. So at least one parent was really impressed.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was nice. You know, I feel like people will say something if things are really bad or really good. I mean, most of the time, if things are fine, people don't say anything. So it's always nice when people take the time to give that feedback. So that was a really fun program that I thought was pretty creative on Alex's part. We've been handing out Storytime kits. So we started doing this when Storytimes were on Zoom back in the spring, but we ran out of those, so we made a new round. So every kid who comes to Storytime kind of gets their own kit now to assuage any concerns about sharing and little kids popping egg shakers in their mouths, etc. So we used some funds from the Tenike Pals and the Bender family to buy all the parts so kids can all have some to take home. This is your basic kit. Families seem happy about it. So that's nice.
Who donated that?
Pardon?
Who donated that?
So we had funds from the Bender Family Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, that's not true. It's Tenike Pal is an individual who's on that board. It was from Trip. I misspoke. So Trip Pal,
Okay.
who's a local resident who's always been very supportive of the library. And Audrey, please don't hesitate to ask me to slow down. I should put myself a note. We had another big truck day. This is something that we collaborate with Henry from the Village DPW. He's great to work with. My sense is his crew enjoys doing this because he never hesitates when we ask him. So the village, the town, and the county this year all brought some heavy equipment. And the kids, you can see they were able to climb up in the equipment. We had 150 people pass through.
Oh my gosh!
So that was really nice. We had one little craft activity. I voluntold my child that she'd be helping. So my daughter here, and the kids were able to run toy vehicles into ink pads and then draw tracks on some paper. So that was kind of fun to make it a little bit more hands-on beyond the climbing on the trucks. So that went well. Want to thank Debbie and Meredith for helping out with art in the park as part of the Friendship Festival. These were the photos from that day, but it was so gray that I didn't get any photos of our booth. So after the event was over, we hung them up in the library. We were able to get photos from all 16 of the parks in the RCS school district. It was a pretty good conversation starter at the booth. People would kind of try to guess what park it was. So that was fairly successful. It was not a fantastic day. We kind of alternate Riverfest and Friendship Fest. It's unfortunate they're so close to each other. It's hard to staff them both. And Riverfest definitely had the better weather this year, but we still got to talk to lots of people. And
I see.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I see the pictures survived better than they looked at the Friendship Festival.
Yeah, the photos got rained on, but they came out okay in the end. Everything got rained on. We all got wet, but it was fine. We did our summer reading prize drawing, both for the kids and the adults. This is one of the kids got to choose a prize kind of in the order they were drawn. This young man chose the journal. Meredith volunteered to do a photography class for kids at the library. Some of the photos are really cool. She did kind of talk about perspective and composition. And this is one of my favorites. You can see it's kind of a little visual effect. Shrinking the kid in the photo. So we were really happy to be able to offer that. It was great. We extended our hours. So weekend after Labor Day, we are now open till 5 p.m. As is always the case, the first couple of weeks, it was dead after 3, because that's when we normally close. But so if you know people are talking about the library, spread the word. But generally in a month or two, it's kind of the traffic spreads out throughout the day a little more evenly. When Debbie was at the Friendship Festival, I was able to volunteer at the dunking booth. So this is after Brendan successfully dunked me. I'm on my way to the water in this photo. It was raining, so we were already wet, and the water was warmer than the air. So it was pretty fun. The RCS CBA had a booth there. People paid, obviously, to dunk people, and the money went to Street Soldiers. People may know it's a charity based up in Selkirk that hands out, food and hygiene products to homeless folks. So it's a great cause. A lot of people from the community volunteered. I think Dr. Bailey probably attracted the most people wanting to dunk him. But I think I got dunked 13 times in half an hour. So it was more fun than I had anticipated, and I think Brendan really enjoyed it. He had a video to share with the rest of the staff.
Judith,
Yes.
I saw Brendan a couple days before the Friendship Festival, and he was indecently excited about you doing the dunking booth. He kept saying, "You're coming, right? You're going to be there, right?"
Yes, he was next in line, so he dunked me before I just went. You know?
And then he paid for several people behind him to dunk.
He did. He did. More, yes.
So
it was fun, and Brendan is, believe it or not, still employed by the library.
And he has video if you would like to see it.
He does have video.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so this is Big Z. Audrey happened to be in the library when Big Z came by. We had Big Z come in because we had a couple books that were returned, one of which we caught, and we saw signs of bed bugs, so we put it in a Ziploc bag and threw it away. But another one we didn't catch, it went in a courier bin to Bethlehem, and Bethlehem caught it at Bethlehem. So Bethlehem has a regular contract with Big Z, who is a bed bug sniffing dog.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
He is part Chihuahua, as you can see by those ears. And the good news is Big Z came to the library and he did not find any bed bugs here.
Oh, thank you, Big Z.
Yes.
Much to all of our relief.
Wow.
He's also very cute. So it was almost worth the stress of worrying about bed bugs. So watch.
How did you locate him?
So the Bethlehem Library told me about him because they have.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Northeast Pest Control.
Okay.
But he goes there. Someone told me monthly, someone else told me quarterly at Bethlehem, just to make sure. I haven't gotten the invoice yet, so I don't know what's
I didn't know there was a dog to do such a thing.
I know.
Yeah,
right.
Apparently dogs can be trained to sniff. Almost, you hear about dogs who can sniff cancer. It's really amazing. The dogs have been trained to smell for. There we go. So the Bethlehem Library, part of how they deal with bed bugs is if they have a patron who returns library material in a way which is deemed not conducive to the health of the community, they will suspend that borrower's privilege. We do not have that policy. I think Bethlehem was hoping that we did because it was our patron and not theirs, so they can't suspend the privileges of one of our patrons. So I said I would bring it up. So one of the things I wanted to have a brief conversation about is this a policy that we would like to develop? And if that is the case, I'll draft something for next month.
I definitely think,
I say absolutely.
I say absolutely too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judith, that's a little bit vague. Is it directed at bed bugs specifically, or would there be other situations where that would apply?
It is not directed at bed bugs specifically. I would imagine if someone routinely returned things and there was a sign of human blood on it.
Right. Okay.
I just need to see,
of course.
I would prefer to see a draft of the policy because because this is too vague for me to say yes or no to at this point. But I would like to
the
draft
subject than the actual. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I have Bethlehem's library language in front of me. It says, library may restrict a user's ability to borrow materials and or visit library facilities when such use may jeopardize the health and cleanliness of library facilities, collections, and users. So that's Bethlehem's language. I would look probably at a couple of other libraries' policies, see what people do, and then give it to you all to review next month.
Right.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, because I found some strange things inside books. But I kind of, I found a couple of bugs and this and that. So.
Well, tell us what happened, because we want to know.
I just kind of blew them off and threw them away. Yeah, because this is, what would you consider, suspension for health and safety? How far would that go? What would that cover?
I think that in this instance, for example, it would be like, you can't borrow library material until you can bring us a receipt from an exterminator to show that the issue has been dealt with.
Oh,
But are we talking just bugs, or what other health
Well, we're
concerns are
talking
we
about
going to talk about?
things. I mean, I think the reason that I think that bed bugs are kind of a touchy
Yeah.
issue is people are concerned that then their houses would be infested, and then it would
Oh, they-
become,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
it only takes one.
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Are we going to cover anything besides bed bugs in this language?
I would not get specific because, you know, as this example shows you, you can never anticipate exactly what it is. I think it's more, well, I'm not worried so much about the specific cause of the issue, but the effect of it's something that might have a deleterious effect on the health or welfare of other borrowers.
Well, draft the policy and let's see it. You know, that's the way I look at it. That's why I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes. Let me just draft the policy so we can see it.
Yeah. We need to look at it and deliberate, for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing that might be a quick discussion is, so the RCS CBA traditionally attempts, or does in fact, hold a Meet the Candidates night for local elections. Folks may be aware that there is a race in the town of Clemens this year for a supervisor, town clerk, and I believe 2 of the town council seats. So RCS CBA, and when I say RCS CBA, in this instance I meant me, because I'm the person who takes this on, reached out to representatives from both parties, and we got a yes from one party and a no from the other. We were told that they thought that there was unanimous among their candidates that it would be a better use of their time to, you know, do other things, go out and go door to door or whatever. They weren't interested in participating in this event. Normally, I had the library co-sponsor this event. Again, mainly because it's my time, and I think it's certainly an event that would be of interest to the community at large. The RCS CBA thought this might happen, and we committed in advance to holding the event even if one party didn't participate, so that the other party does have the opportunity to answer questions from the community and maybe to perhaps encourage the other party in the future. So my question is, would the library be interested in co-hosting if we only have one party in attendance?
But I guess my question is, who did you commit to?
Well, when we invited the candidates, we said this event will happen. You know, we're not required. Okay, so background: the League of Women Voters has something called an empty chair policy, and they will not go forward with an event if there is an empty chair. Basically, if someone isn't willing to participate, and the reason for doing that is they don't want to be perceived as, you know, showing favoritism, etc. Last time we tried to organize this, the RCS CBA, the library, and the League of Women Voters were working together to make it happen. And because of the league's policy, we had to cancel because the same thing happened. So this year we said, okay, we're not going to have an empty chair policy. We're going to say this is going to happen no matter who decides to participate, with the hopes that when all the involved parties realize that there will be a forum and the community might see that some people chose to participate and others were not willing to, that might encourage everyone to participate in the future.
Would this show that the library is endorsing this particular candidate, though? Or would you put a disclosure that the other party decided not to show?
We would absolutely say, you know, I have the quote from the representative of the party that decided not to participate saying, you know, we're not going to participate. This is, you know, they clearly were invited. But that's exactly the perception I'm worried about.
Judith, yes. whether the library partners with CBA, is the event still happening at the library?
No. We're not 100% sold on a venue yet. In
the
past, we did it in the middle school. Middle school has a small performance arts space, which has been perfect for this. Mm-hmm. I heard back from Dr. Bailey over the weekend that we won't be able to use it. You know, it's not unsurprisingly part of the COVID protocol, no outside groups. I'm hoping we go to Zoom. I think that it solves lots of problems, like your candidates have to wear masks. It's there's people who perhaps
I think.
we would.
Why don't we just plan on doing a Zoom and just, not find a venue and just do it over Zoom?
I think that's what's going to happen. The RCS CBA board needs to agree on that too.
Okay.
My suspicion is that's where we're going. It's also the preference of the candidates. So yes, but that's kind of a separate question from. It's certainly fine for it just to be a RCS CBA event. Maybe that's the simplest course of action, but I wanted to get some input on that first.
I see, that it does put us in a bit of an awkward position to only be hosting half of it, but I think it's important to have candidates be able to be asked questions. So whatever candidates are willing to be questioned, I would like to see it happen.
I agree, as long as we have that disclosure that the library is not fully endorsing just that one.
Yeah, the library is absolutely not endorsing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How long is this forum? Is about probably 2 hours at the most.
I'm hoping it's 90 minutes. I think short and sweet is,
Right. Yeah.
Depends
Okay.
on the turnout.
Yeah, I think there should be a huge disclosure, and if the other candidates say yes, I think we need to let the candidates who refuse know that we're going to have it. It's going to be on Zoom, and you still have an opportunity to participate.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So if we have this on Zoom, how are you going to take questions?
So we will mute everyone who comes in, unmute the candidates, and have people submit questions via chat or by email in advance. We're hoping that either Mark Vincent-Aguirre, who is the former publisher of the News Herald, the Review News Herald, or Warren Dews, who's currently the editor of the News Herald. We're hoping that one of them will moderate.
Because there are different platforms you can use where people can ask questions. Mm-hmm. And then someone asks those questions to the candidates, poses the questions that were brought in to the candidates, and then they ask, so then it doesn't become a free-for-all.
Yeah, that is absolutely a concern with the technology.
Yep.
We think that people cannot unmute themselves if we mute them, but we need to do a trial run on that. But Audrey, if you're in the library next time, I'm sure, through teaching that, especially in the last year, you've seen a lot of things. So if you have any suggestions.
I'll find out what it is that we use, because when we have these meetings for board meetings and stuff, we use a platform that the information goes in, and then one of our guys, our tech guys, he generates the questions through this app, whatever, and then he asks the questions, and then the candidates answer. So I'll email him tomorrow and ask him what the name of it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've been on the Zoom meetings where the presenter mutes everybody and they have to answer questions, or they have that raise their hand on the bottom to submit the questions where the people can't unmute themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of the vision. I just wouldn't want to do a trial run before I get there.
It's a little hard if you have 50 to 60 people and a person raises their hand, it gets a little hard to see which, so unless you have someone who's monitoring. So, okay. I just feel that as long as we let the other candidates know that we're going to proceed, one group has decided to, we want to continue to invite you, and that's all you can do.
That's what we'll do. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then my last thing is today I got a finalized quote from Tip Top Flooring. A couple of you have been in the library, have seen some of the flooring samples. We went with this faux travertine marble look again, we're talking about the breezeway into the library, and then the little airlock on the way out of the library. So I got that quote today. So that was one of the things I scanned right before I left the library this afternoon. So the total cost on that is $1,400 for materials and $800 for labor. So about $2,200 and change. We do have a donation of $1,000, which is for that. And the reason for that is someone in the community asked me to dog sit their greyhound last month. I think it was Audrey who was in the library and met Paulie. But I said I'd be happy. They offered to pay me. He said, "Oh, you don't need to pay me, but the library needs new tile on the floor. If you want to make a donation." And they said, "Sure." So they donated $1,000 for that.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Oh, that was good money for dog sitting. Good job.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Polly was a pleasure, so I would have done it for nothing, but it's nice that the library was able to benefit from that. So if people are comfortable with that, I did not get other quotes, and one of the reasons I got the donation is because that brings it below our threshold for needing multiple quotes. It is very hard to get a quote for the same material from different vendors, and I talked to 2 people in the community who have worked with Tip Top, and said good things about them.
Would you like do you think we need a motion?
Yes, please. When in doubt, I always think emotion's the way to go.
So this would bring it down to about $1,200 then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we use them.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Well, thanks. If you're all set with that part, Judith, you want to segue into financial?
I will do that. I'm going to talk about the stats first, and I apologize. I realized today when I was going through things that when I scanned the packet last week, the page with the statistics just must not have gone through the scanner. So I sent that out a little late. Nothing earth-shattering there, but I'll just, I'll share my screen so you can all see it.
Oh, thanks.
Here's me again. Here we go. Share.
Can I ask, why are there why are there always 2 different quotes or 2 different bills? There's a cash bill and an account bill on those that you just sent out.
So it's a bookkeeping thing. Basically, you always have to debit and credit. You're talking about the check register, right?
Yeah, whatever one you had, there was 2 for the garbage, there's 2 for Prosecco. It's always the same number, the same thing, but one says cash, one says account.
It's so basically, and I'm no accountant, but my very rudimentary understanding of this is that when you have a series of accounts, you need to show money coming into the account and money going out of the account. So you credit the account and you debit the account. It's super confusing. I don't know why it can't be simpler, but it's not. Meredith is nodding. Meredith, you want to speak to that?
If you're paying a bill, then shouldn't it just be, check number 2431, we paid $30 to, the disposable people?
No, because
I don't know. In the accounting office that I worked in, that was that's the theory, right? Debits in, credits out. But there were different ways to show the report. If you're showing all of it, it has what we have, which is, double lines for everything.
Right.
And it's not the easiest report to look at. So I don't know. I don't know if there's, there's options to get a different report. But yeah, it's definitely not we're not double paying them or anything. It's a funky report.
Yeah, I know it's double paying. It was just weird to see everything all doubled up like that.
Yeah, right.
Debbie, did you have something you wanted to say?
Let me explain it to you in a simple term. The reason it's doubled up like that is because you're taking money out of your checking account, but you have to tell basically your books why you're taking it out. So if you're taking out, let's say, the Central Hudson, granted you took $87 out of your cash account, but why did you take it out? So you're paying your electric bill, so it's going to be under your operating expenses. So that's why it's double. Because if you notice, if you look under account, where it says cash, it's accounts payable, you pay cash out. But above it, it's cash operating expenses.
Gotcha.
So basically, that's what it is. You got to tell the computer or your books why you took it out. That's the simplest explanation for you.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if you get into it, it makes my head spin. And I talked to CPAs who I'm like, can you explain like why is it when you're putting money in, why is it called a debit? And they're like, no, I can't explain that. You know, so it's not just you or me. It's just a whole different way of looking at things.
It is.
Okay, so back to the stats on the circulation. It was kind of a mixed bag. Overall, we were up 2%. Again, the ebooks really led the way on that. Ebooks are now the equivalent of more than half of the physical item circ. We've talked about this in the past, it changes the traffic flow in the library. More and more people are doing the digital borrowing, which means more staff time is spent on programs and take and makes. So it's just, it's time marches on. We haven't seen any decrease in that. Things are up. We had a big jump in YA fiction that month, but adult fiction was down. So I never try to spend too much time describing rhyme and reason to these things, but I'll just say it was a mixed bag. And the biggest jump, as has been the case for the last few years, has been in e-content again. So that's there. And then moving on to the financials. I think, is it easiest if I share them so we can all be looking at the same thing? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I will do that. Back to Zoom, share again. Here we are. Okay. So, Audrey, to just kind of go back to your question a little bit, the library basically kind of has a checking account for all these different accounts. So each of these line items, in a way, is an account that we track items back to. So that's part of the answer as to why it's so complicated. But what that lets us do is kind of show on how all these budget lines, things are moving throughout the year. I'm going to go to the profit and loss, which shows our income and expenses just for the 1 month. You can see that the miscellaneous desk receipts are still fairly robust, despite our being fine-free, not charging for the first dollar of copier fax transactions. You can see that $1,000 gift towards the flooring. Our LSA came in. That's the fairly small amount of New York State aid that came in. And then miscellaneous income is, we actually got some funds from Albany County that's supposed to cover like PPE costs, which is great because we're handing out a lot of masks these days. We had to make an emergency run down to Catskill because we ran out of masks and nowhere's locally had them in stock. The disposable ones that we give to people who show up at the library without a mask. So that's what that is. The unbudgeted grant spending, that was the final payment on the digital sign. It says it's unbudgeted because it's not money that comes out of the regular budget. It was budgeted in that we got the grant money and we knew we could spend it, but it wasn't it didn't come out of our tax levy, and it wasn't in the annual budget that we prepare every year, because with these New York State funds, it's hard to predict what year they're going to show up and what year you're going to be able to spend them. So that's always kind of this is a workaround to deal with that problem, so it doesn't mess up my budget too much when they hit. That's probably the only other really unusual thing there. Any questions on any of the money?
I did. I had one question on the budget versus the actual.
Sure.
It said that we had a miscellaneous board expense for $83.
And you want to know what that was? Great.
Of course I do.
You know what? I'm going to email you tomorrow because I do not remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I want to know what we spent it on.
Sure.
I don't remember what we did.
Was any of it for the chicken dinner?
Yeah,
No,
I'm wondering
we haven't spent anything on that yet. Miss expense. I would say a lot of times that's kind of like we have directors and officers insurance, but that's too low. That's usually a few $100s. It's not that. Miss board expense 80.
Yes,
You know what? That
83.34.
probably wasn't in August because I don't think it showed up in. Let me see if it showed up in the August profit and loss. So that was from July, which is probably, that's why I'm going to claim I can't remember it. So I'm going to go back and look at the July statements and see if it comes back to me. But
Okay.
I'll email you tomorrow.
Thank you, Judith.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, it looks like we can move to new business. And so our first item is reopening adjustments.
Okay, so this is kind of where every month we pause, right, and say, what, if anything, do we want to change? Meeting room use is its own item. Something that folks have continually asked about is the kid space. And one thing that we had not previously discussed was kind of opening it for limited hours, like for example, not having it open right after story time, because that's when there's always a bunch of people there, but having it open, select afternoons or something like that. So I thought I'd just bring it up and see what people thought.
I don't personally think you should open it up yet.
I agree with Audrey. I just think things are too unstable quite yet.
Yeah.
They all.
I
I
think
agree.
we should wait until after October 31st. We'll probably project January because I believe there'll be a vaccine for children 5 and above. So that's why I was thinking maybe we could reconsider around January.
Let's hope.
My understanding is the current word is like November for school age kids, and
Yeah.
then I haven't really heard a lot of predictions about the under 5 set.
Yeah. So I think maybe reconsider it in January, just see how things are going with the various vaccines for younger children.
Yeah, the percentages are still high, and
Yeah.
you honestly just don't know
Right.
wise, who has symptoms and who doesn't. And it's just too risky.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
with the school, I think who knows what's going to happen, with all the kids back at school. So I think we're wise to wait as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds like consensus.
Yeah. It's kind of a no-brainer.
We okay with that?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
And anything?
No,
I just feel bad because I know how much energy we put into creating it. That's what I feel bad about. But it's just one of those things, we just have to wait.
Well, but the problem is that, and if we do open it, it's going to create more work for you guys at the library because you're going to have to clean it every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Every toy, every piece. And that's just too much.
Yeah.
It's really a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I just feel, I look at how much energy.
Yeah, I'll do.
That's all. I mean, I understand we have to sanitize every toy and all, and that's a lot of sanitizing.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. I just feel bad for it. That's all.
I agree. It is too bad. Any other opening adjustments?
No, I think that's the side meeting room use is probably related, but that's its own item, so we can wait on that.
Okay. So our next one is the vaccine mandate.
Yeah, so last month we talked about this, decided to sit on it a little bit. 2 weeks after, so late August, I did a little digging. And at that point, there were a couple states, some larger school districts that had decided to require it. Since then, it's become, I'm sure people know, much more common. New York State mandates, I don't have the, Laura, you okay? Oh.
Yeah, she's telling whoever to not get into. She's telling whoever not to get into her camera view.
I'm like, I think I'm saying what's okay.
I can see the person in the mirror. That's why.
I'm so sorry. I have my son's dog here, and my other son was trying to get the dog.
Well, I'm glad that's all there was. Okay, back on topic here.
Okay.
New York State, about 2 weeks ago now, mandated either vaccination or weekly testing for all public school employees, state workers. There is no testing exception for health workers. There are wide-ranging vaccine mandates, and then the federal government came in and did something similar. Any federally funded programs such as Head Start, vaccines are required. New York State also mandated them for any program which is working with students with disabilities, whether even if they're outside a school setting. Lori was kind enough to share the Department of Health memo that Circle of Friends got. I sent that out this evening after I got it, so folks can see it if they want. So I would say the current state of things is that in the last month, the commonness of the vaccine mandate has increased a great deal.
So do we need to make a decision about the library staff and vaccines?
That is my understanding of the agenda item.
Okay. So I think our choices are everyone has to have has to have a vaccine, or B, those who don't have a vaccine need to be tested
Weekly.
weekly or twice weekly, or C, do nothing. Does anybody have anything they want to say about?
Well, if we do the weekly testing or biweekly testing, are we going to give them time off of work to go do that on our dime and get the results back? Or are we going to rely on the rapid, like at home testing so they can do it while they're at work and rely on those test results?
I would be careful with the rapid testing because you can get false positives, and that can also cause some stress too. I mean, they do have some effectiveness, but I'll be careful with the rapid testing. I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Debbie.
I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I have been seeing that this third booster is coming up because the people that are vaccinating, their effectiveness of the vaccine is wearing off, which is why we are having to get the third vaccine. So it's not just the unvaccinated that are having issues, it's the people that are vaccinated as well. So if we're going to require unvaccinated employees to be tested, should we be also having the vaccinated ones? Because I just read an article about the effectiveness of the vaccines wearing off. Should we require the ones that are vaccinated as well to start taking the tests?
Well, 90% of the people who are being affected are unvaccinated people. The majority of the people who are in hospitals are unvaccinated people. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to reduce the risk. Those who are vaccinated, even if they might be affected, are more asymptomatic and they're less sick, as a matter of fact. So either we could require those who don't want to be vaccinated wear masks, or we can ask them to get tested.
I also, Debbie, my husband's a physician, and he was saying that the at-home tests are, if it's positive, there's a high, like 95% chance that it's accurate. But if it's negative, there's only a 50% chance that it's an accurate result. So I don't think we can rely on the home test if that was part of our decision.
No, I know. I was just kind of bringing it up because of the stuff that I was reading. I was just trying to bring up other options because, I mean, we're not a very big office. We're not like 100 or more employees like the Biden administration is telling you, you have to be tested. Right. We're such a small place, but we still want to, have some like basic human rights. I mean, because we're talking about trying to mandate and force someone to do a medical thing that they don't want to do.
Well, so we do that with, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
We do that with children in school. They cannot go to school unless they get vaccinated. I remember getting polio and all types of mumps, measles, diphtheria, a whole slew of them. And you cannot go to school unless you're vaccinated. So it's not anything new. It's just that we've made it more political. So
Exactly.
so I'm open to either. If we're not going to do it, then the person needs to, whoever the people are that are not vaccinated, just have to wear a mask. If we're going to do it, okay, and ask them to be tested on a weekly basis, okay.
But should we do it all around or just the ones
No.
that are unvaccinated?
Unvaccinated.
I think there's a reason that most places are saying if you're vaccinated, you're okay. I don't think there's any reason for all of the staff, vaccinated or no, to be tested. I personally feel comfortable with the second option that you mentioned, Lori. To get vaccinated or to get tested weekly. I think because we have so many kids coming in, and that's what the school districts are doing, I think we do have a leg to stand on as far as that goes. I would be interested to know, for the other organizations that are playing that the same way, how they're handling some of the issues that Debbie brought up as far as, do they get tested on work time? How do they report that? Do they have to stay home until they get their results? I think those are some of the logistics that we would need to work out.
Those are big questions, all of those. Yeah. I also am concerned about the interaction with children under 5.
Or over 5 to 11 until they get vaccinated.
Well, we have I don't know what you would. We have a preschool librarian. I don't know what the actual early childhood, and those children don't have any ability to be vaccinated. So I think that's a special concern that we have. So I kind of think that the early childhood librarian needs to be vaccinated.
Well, yeah, it's tough because because our staff is smaller, everyone kind of rotates through as well. To me, it seems easier to not have it be related to someone's title. Someone's out, but someone else is going to do the story time, for example. So I think that one of the reasons it's a key question for the organization is because we do early childhood programming, but all the staff interacts with that population.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a mask mandate now.
Yeah.
Right now, everybody needs to wear a mask going into the library. So as long as we continue that, even if you're vaccinated or not, everybody should be wearing a mask in the library.
True.
There are some organizations that are also giving a deadline for vaccination, like
Yes.
September 27th, or, they're giving them 90 days, things like that. So I was just mentioning that. But I concur with Lori, and certainly Meredith, that the individual should be tested, or individuals should be tested once a week at their own expense and at their own time. So that it doesn't affect what's going on in the library.
But is this going to be a condition of employment? If this person or persons are not going to be tested, or if they're going to continue to be unvaccinated, is this going to be a condition of employment? If they're not vaccinated by X date, are we going to let them go?
Well, that's something that I just brought up. That some companies are doing that. Yeah.
But is that something we want?
What if the person refuses to do the testing if they don't get the vaccine?
And if we're going to require it, why should we make them pay for it?
But at this point, as far as I know, the counties have been paying for testing. I mean, every time I've been tested, I've never been charged. And I believe I just heard that Greene County just got monies, which makes me think Albany County just got monies for testing. So I'm going to hope on that front that anybody that needed to be tested would have access to free testing.
And don't get me wrong, I'm just kind of playing off here. Are we going to pay for person or persons to take the time off to go do that.
I say no.
Because
The library.
I say no too. I'm sorry.
It's I think it's a New York State law that if someone wants to get vaccinated, then the employer needs to provide the time off for that, and then time to recover if necessary. But
and that makes sense.
it's an accommodation to someone, so that our preference is that someone be vaccinated. If for whatever reasons they find that they're so opposed to that they are willing to go through the inconvenience of testing, it shouldn't be an inconvenience to the library. It's an inconvenience to the individual, is how I see it.
So we accommodate them to take the time off to go get the free test.
No, the other way around. They would do it on their time.
No.
That's what I mean. We would tell them, this is your schedule for the day. Let's just say 4 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go sometime before 4 o'clock before their shift to go get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
That would make sense. I agree.
On their own time. On their own time.
I agree.
Audrey,
that
I'm
makes
curious,
sense.
Working in a school, has the procedures been developed for this yet where you are?
Oh, no. So they're just starting this now.
Yeah.
They, put out a little survey if you're vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated, and just doing general testing. So you can say, yes, I don't mind being tested once a week, and then you go down and they'll test you at school. It is not, you are not doing it off your time. It's none of that. The school is providing that.
That's surveillance testing though, right?
Yeah, but because they can't mandatorily tell them they have to be vaccinated at this point. Jobs is not, the government can't do that yet. So right now it's just in the conversation that they will be tested just, whenever.
Well, am I hearing that most people feel comfortable with it, that we would prefer our staff be vaccinated, but if you're not vaccinated, testing is required, I'm going to say once a week, and masks are required.
On their own time.
Testing is required on their own time. Would anybody like to make a motion to that point?
I just have one question. When do we want to make this effective before we make a motion?
Good question.
Do we want it to start October 1st or next week or?
I think my opinion is it should start right away.
Well, we got to get Judith time to get it into effect with her employees.
As soon as Judith feels it can be implemented.
When do you think you could implement this without making too many waves with her employees?
So I think what needs to happen is it would need to be announced as the policy, immediately, and then saying, if people are not vaccinated by October 1st, we would start testing.
Okay.
To give
That
people,
makes sense.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Go and get a shot or think about it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What is the true county's rule about all of this at this point? Like, what policies have the county and the state brought about all of this at this point? That you have a leg to stand on to say you have to do this.
It's the same thing that so there's a federal thing encouraging all employers to mandate it, and then it would basically be the same thing as the school districts are doing, that employees need to either be vaccinated or be tested. So it's the same. It's a little different because HOCL didn't include libraries, but we are under the Department of Education. This is a common thing with libraries. We're kind of left out because we're not big. But it's the same principle as is happening in school.
And do you know what other libraries are doing?
So we talked about this at a meeting on Friday. Libraries are moving in this direction. Most of the libraries, we're probably one of the bigger libraries that doesn't have a union. Most of the libraries that are bigger than us have a union, which complicates the process a little bit. But like I talked to Bethlehem, they thought that it would be likely that that is something they would arrive at with their union. Either vaccine or weekly tests. Albany is actually starting off by increasing the health. If you choose not to get vaccinated, your health insurance cost is going to go up. That's what they're starting with their union. But it's with the union, it needs to be negotiated. So this is what the administration is saying.
Right.
The union doesn't want that. Oh, okay, maybe vaccines do need to be required. I did ask our staff, and I know that this is often the case when staffs are surveyed. The majority of staff feels more comfortable when everyone's vaccinated. And when I emailed all our staff saying this is on the agenda, let me know if you have any feedback, I heard back from 2 people, both of whom said, I would like all my coworkers to be vaccinated.
Well, that's understandable.
I'm with them. But I do think we should have a motion about what we would like the policy to be.
Right.
I'll make a motion that the library would prefer all employees to be vaccinated. Those that refuse to be vaccinated will be required to be tested on a weekly basis at their own expense. And this policy is effective immediately with reasonable guidelines provided by the director.
Do you want to say that, do you want to add to that, Antonio, that it will not be during their day? It has to be prior to their coming to work or after?
Okay, we can add to that. I have no issues with that.
And you have an issue with that? Or
We
not?
said their own time, so I mean, their own time would be prior or after.
Yeah, not during work
Well,
hours.
Right.
So then, do they have to stay
Well,
home till they get their? Do they have to stay home till they get their test results? No.
I would say
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We can, the mask, when they wear the mask, is as if we're treating them as if they're asymptomatic anyway. So,
Okay.
And
If you read a lot of different things about COVID, one of the major things besides masks, one of the most important things is washing your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the huge piece right there. It's just making sure hands are washed.
Yeah.
and
May I mention that we still, I don't know if we finished the discussion, but we do need a second at some point.
well, Antonio said, you said effective immediately. I thought we agreed to put this into effect on October 1st.
So the policy is effective. The testing would start October 1st.
I said effective immediately, and it'll be based upon, and then I also mentioned something upon the guidelines that the director will give the staff, something to that effect. That even though it's effective immediately, the director has some freedom to say, okay, by this time, you need to have this done.
Okay, I will second that.
Thank you, Debbie.
Is that what I stated, Audrey?
Something like that.
Want to reread it, Audrey?
We decided that we would prefer staff to be vaccinated. If you refuse testing, then you will do it on your own every week, on your own time. Everyone needs to be masked. And the start date, we were still a little hesitant on. We've had October 1st. We've had it effective immediately. And that Judith will give staff directive with all the information. So that's what I have.
Is the word prefer too soft? I'm just wondering if we need to go with require, if that's what we're
Yes.
saying.
But we're not requiring them. We're preferring them to be vaccinated, but they choose not to
Right.
be vaccinated.
Oh, I
then
understand.
they have to get tested.
Okay.
That's how I read it.
Encourage, we encourage
Yeah.
all staff to be vaccinated,
Strongly encourage.
strongly encourage.
We encourage and prefer all staff to be vaccinated.
I like that.
If you refuse, testing is on your own time and done weekly. Results to be given.
Yeah, and obviously I need to, I think a lot of organizations now are kind of figuring out exactly what this is going to look like. So I need a day or two to finesse this a little bit and then
Okay.
check it out.
So is everybody comfortable with this?
All right, so just let me double check the start date. Are we just gonna give you, Judith, kind of leeway to give the start date? Or
I
are
think we
we-
need to do that.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't put a start there, because I felt the director need to have some leeway to figure out, right.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
You can say-
as soon as possible, but
Right.
I don't want to commit to something because there may be some obstacle.
Yep.
Well, like the barbecue this week, next week.
Oh,
So,
all in favor for Antonio's motion, please raise your hand or say aye.
I,
Aye. Anybody not in favor? How about meeting room use?
So this is another kind of from the public request. I get a fair amount of phone calls, both in terms of people like, for example, I think the Lions called last week, wanting to know if they could meet at the library, and then also from tutors looking for a meeting space. And I think those are kind of different requests. It's a different space. Like we were to open up the lobby meeting room and cap it at like 5 people. I think that's different than telling groups that they can have open meetings in our space. So I'm going to suggest that we first talk about the smaller space.
Yeah.
I was going to say, didn't we have this discussion of opening it up but limiting how many people we could put in there?
I think in the end,
Yeah, we kind of tabled it.
Yeah, I think we tabled that.
yeah.
Was our last.
I think the last time we just decided we were going to wait to see what the numbers were like, what was going on with COVID before we decided.
I mean, yeah, because if you're going to have programs in there,
Mhm.
why can't we open it up a little bit? So, I mean, I would think limiting how many people are in there and giving them that social distancing space to where they're not like 8 at a table might be okay.
I like the idea of opening it up for educational purposes like tutors with the social distancing and masks being required.
I agree.
I agree.
Is that for the smallest space, Lori?
Yeah.
When you first come in.
Typically don't have tutors meet in the back room because, I mean, I think actually the district wants the tutors to meet in a place that's visible,
Yes.
not behind closed doors.
Definitely.
All I can say is I'm glad it's not my dog.
Can I ask how big are the groups that are asking to use the meeting room?
So the Lions, I don't know. I can't imagine it's a huge group. And then tutors are tutors. Most of the time, it's probably not more than a dozen people.
Yeah.
I would really like to see us be able to open up both rooms.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've done a very good job, led by Judith, about being kind of on the forefront of here's how we can provide services safely. And as much as I hate to say it, I feel like COVID's here to stay, right? So we need to figure out how to roll on with what we do. And I feel like the meeting room's probably a good place to start. So I'm in favor, I guess, of opening up both rooms with a limit and the masks. And I don't know what that limit should be, but.
And that begs the question, we've had a limit of 20 folks in the library. I think if you're using the meeting room, you need to bump the total number, which I think is very, very reasonable to do.
Mm-hmm.
you would have a lower, I didn't get that, Judith. What did you say?
We need to bump the total number.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I need to lean into my mic here.
So if you had 20 in the library already, and then you would have like an additional 8 to 10 in the meeting
So
room,
raise the
maybe.
limit to 30 is what you would do. And honestly, like when there's no meetings and no programs, there's usually like 3 people in the library. It's pretty quiet. But programs and meetings have always been what's changed that. We're still doing our story times outside, and we're hoping to carry that through October, but we won't be able to carry that into November.
So if we leave it at 20, except for if there's a meeting?
I think it's easier just to raise it to 30.
Okay.
So do you want a motion for that, Judith?
Well, is that what we want to do? Is that? Yeah, yes. Let's have a motion and discuss.
Okay, let's see. So we need a motion that raises the library overall limit to 30 and describes meeting room use as the number of people in each room with masks. Anybody want to tackle that?
Sure, I'll tackle that.
Thank you.
So I make a motion to increase the limit of people in the library from 20 to 30. She's shaking her head. And that we're going to reopen the meeting rooms with a limit on the people and requiring masks in the meeting rooms.
And
Now, do we have to be specific about the limit?
Right. That's
Judith, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could probably do 12 in the bigger meeting room and, I don't know, 5 in the smaller.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
So 12 in the bigger meeting room and 5 in the smaller meeting room.
Yes, right.
Would anybody like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, is there anything else anybody wants to say about the meeting room use? If not, we'll go on to the annual survey.
Okay.
Oh, wait, one question. Is somebody going to reach out to the schools or whomever to let them know that we can start using the smaller meeting room for tutors?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering how that went, so.
I mean, honestly, I've been letting them ask me. Because, people have called or messaged the library saying, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And this week I said, well, there's a board meeting on Monday. Let me find out and get back to you. It was not on my list to let the school know, but I can certainly do that.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. When they call, you can just say, hey, yes, you can use it. And then it'll just maybe slowly, trickling, and that's good.
Oh, Judith, designate it to one of your people. Let them do it.
Excuse me, Lori. Did we vote on that motion? Did we vote on
I think we got to the second, but we didn't get to the vote. Thank you, Antonio.
All right.
Okay, so everyone who is in favor of the meeting room motion that Debbie outlined, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, Antonio. Okay, so maybe we can go to the annual survey.
Okay. So every year we do a survey, and I'm just bringing this up to see if folks have particular thoughts on something that we go to ask. And this is more like just raising the question. If people have thoughts, they can email me. I have not started working on it yet. Last year we did a lot of kind of questions about, do people prefer things to be, what mix of digital and physical experiences and materials that people like. It seemed like a timely thing to do. We don't really want to repeat that, even though we're still in a similar environment. So if there's anything that you think it would be helpful to get community take on, what I'll do is I'll have a draft of the survey for our next meeting, but if between now and then you're like, oh, I'd really like to see this included in that, please let me know.
I know one question, it'd be down our strategic plan, is put a question in there, if you have a tween, what would they like to see happening at the library?
Yes, and we're actually we're jumping ahead a little bit, but we're working on a teen advisory group.
I think that would be great.
We're working on a flyer for that right now.
One thing I would like to have addressed is an inquiry about people's physical comfort visiting the library with the policies, the COVID policies that are in place.
Yeah, that's, what, we did that last year, but I think it makes sense to repeat it.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to suggest for the survey?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll keep moving then, because I've already wrecked Marie's idea of the meeting in an hour. So. Sorry, Marie.
We have a
We're going to go to the question of fines.
Okay, so pre-COVID, we were starting to look into the possibility of becoming a fine-free library. When we were not accepting returns, when the building was closed to the public, and for a while after, it made a lot of sense not to charge fines because the library was closed for 3 months, books were all over the place. And we kept that just as a kind of a goodwill gesture to the community during this time. So it's been, a good year and a half since we've charged any late fees. I talked to Carol about this. We don't think that we've seen any market increase in things not coming back. We mail out late notices. We did a little spot check to see if those numbers had increased. They have not. It's overall, people are always happy to hear they don't owe anything. And we've been operating fiscally in this environment for a while. So I thought it made sense to kind of reassess and see if we want to have this go from a because of COVID thing to a permanent thing.
I vote for permanent thing.
I have a question. Is it just for late books or is it for like lost or damaged
It's
books?
only for late books.
Okay.
So if you bring a book back, if you borrow a book and don't bring it back, or you bring it back and it's not circulatable, you can't borrow more books until you pay for that one.
Okay. Then I agree.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah. Anybody have any other thoughts? Do people feel one way or the other about the fines issue?
Judith, do you think that it would make a difference to people? You said that there's been no increase in people bringing things back late. Do you think that would change if we made that a permanent policy, or do you think that would not matter?
So, talking to a couple staff members about this, kind of talking about do we want to make a big deal about this, or do we just kind of want to do it softly?
Yeah.
And that was perhaps one of the reasons to do it softly. We don't.
Right.
We haven't been advertising that. I mean, I would like to think it wouldn't really matter. And just to clarify, I can't say for sure that people aren't bringing things back a little late. What we do is if after, I think it's at 3 weeks it's not back, we mail you a letter. Those letters have not increased. So it may be that people are keeping things for a few more days, which, we'll manage.
Yeah, right.
I don't know either way for sure. I don't want to suggest I have evidence when I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, so my thought was kind of at least in the very beginning, not to announce.
Right. Same.
But when people get their library cards, we'd probably say, and there's no fee, there's no fines. Yeah, you'd hate to think that people would be like, oh, great, I'm going to keep all my stuff forever. Because the very model of the library is you borrow things, you use them, you bring them back, and then you borrow more things.
Yeah.
And of course, as Debbie asked, you still can't borrow if you have things that you owe us.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
another
sense.
Another lever on this, and I didn't bring it up because my thought was, again, to kind of do this softly. But when Albany rolled this out, they make things lost very quickly now. So if your book is like a week overdue, it's marked lost and you can't borrow. Which seems a little draconian to me because normally if you had a book that was a week overdue, you could still borrow. So it's more restrictive in that way. And from my point of view, the goal of this is to make things less restrictive. But that is a lever you could use if it were to become a problem.
Maybe not a week, but if it's like a month or something.
Yeah, that's currently the case. I think it's 3 weeks ago it's the lost. It was 3 weeks overdue. It hasn't been renewed.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it's a soft policy. I think even with new borrowers, we should just say, it's your responsibility to bring the book back. Don't even say anything about fines. And I mean, it's worked this for 18 months now.
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of into it. So I'm for fine free.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I make a motion that we keep it fine free.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. So the last item under new business is the format for future board meetings. And so I think we need to decide whether we want to stay with Zoom or do we want to go back to meeting in person?
Well, if we can have different functions at the library in small groups, I mean, there's only what, 8, 9 of us?
Yeah, if we're opening up the library, we should probably meet at the library as the board of trustees, right?
Yes, I agree with all, yes.
And so in August, everybody met in person, right, for August?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we just wore masks.
And it was social distancing and masks.
Yes, and mass. Yeah.
So
I just wanted to interject. I think that the real pro of Zoom is no masks.
Yeah.
And speaking at length, I mean, I don't know how teachers do it, like speaking at length in a mask.
Exhausting.
It is.
Not fun. It's certainly doable. It's not prohibitive, but I just want to make sure people kind of weigh that. It's great to see people in person. I feel like it's easier to obviously make eye contact and have the nonverbal communication. No, it's all good.
It is, because it's hard to understand, if we get into like a long discussion like we've had tonight, it's hard to hear if we're socially distanced and, covered up like this. It does get that way. I find this a lot easier.
Well,
I do
truthfully.
know that the open meeting, I'm sorry, Antonio.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Marie. Go ahead.
I was going to say that, the governor now has the open meetings law until January. So that we can have virtual meetings until January. Unless she changes it again, or she extends it, not changes it, but extends it, given the situation. So,
yeah. Frankly, I like Zoom because I've been involved in so many meetings and they're so efficient. And plus, I don't have to worry about driving here and driving there. I can just be where I am. That's that's the selfish part of me about Zoom, is that it's just more efficient. We're not driving here and driving there. Lori is in Rhode Island and she can still be at the meeting. No, it's true. When you think about it. So that's what I like about virtual. I like being in person, but I do like it with virtual. I mean, I wear a K95 mask 8 hours a day. But it's, I do it because I have to. But I do like Zoom. I like the virtual because we can meet efficiently. And if I have another meeting, I can go to that meeting.
Well, see, that's the same with me because starting once we do the time change, I'll have another meeting starting at 8:30.
Oh.
So if we're that's because it's on the Arizona time. I'm going to meet with my friends in Arizona because we're going to actually do a class. So it'll be easier for me to switch from here to the Zoom with my friends in Arizona. But if I'm at the library and I'm like, oh, I got to leave now because I got to drive 15 minutes to get home to meet my other class. So
I also think that you should have a bigger say, Judith, because you have the most verbal reporting.
It's not that big a deal. We could do it every other month. There's a number of things. I will say I'm running a marathon the day before our next meeting. So if we do another virtual one, I'd really like it to be that one.
Okay.
Fully get out of my chair.
Could we just go month to month for a couple of months until we see how things go? And that's what my preference would be, and that we stay with Zoom for multiple reasons, including the marathon. Is that something that we need a motion about, or we can just?
How about we just leave it as it is, and we'll table this for next month and see how numbers and everything else go.
Yeah. So next October will be another Zoom meeting.
There we go.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. So towards the end of our agenda here, we've got upcoming events, which is the chicken barbecue on the 23rd.
Okay. I hope everyone's selling tickets. So far, I've sold about 25
Wow.
Wow.
so far. So hopefully I can sell a few more. I sold 5 at the Riverfest, and then I have a commitment about at least 20. So hopefully I'll have 25, at least 25 sold. So, but what I need is, I know that we need to have a deadline. I think the deadline should be, yes, ma'am. Did you want to say something, Lori?
Oh, no, I'm just
Okay.
hanging around. I'm sorry.
No, the deadline should be at least by, what's this? The barbecue is the 23rd. So that's Thursday, right? Of next week.
Yeah.
So the deadline, this should be at least by Tuesday, when everyone we should know how many tickets have been sold, who the tickets have sold to, so we can have an idea.
When does Freese need to know how much chicken he has to
Yes,
buy?
I'm texting him right now.
thanks.
It's gotta be Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, because I thought it was at the end of this week we had to have him in.
That's what I thought too. I thought we were supposed to be in
I
by
think you put
Friday.
down the 16th or
All
something.
right,
Yeah.
end of this week, then Friday, we need those tickets sold.
I don't want to be hunting you guys down on Monday and Tuesday.
We'll show up with them.
So on Friday, we need to know how many tickets you've sold, and we need to have the person that's going to get it, the number, the ticket number, and the person. So if you could also email it, because I want to compile the whole list for Marie, who's going to handle the money.
Along with Megan Aurelia.
Yes.
Okay.
The two of us are going to
That's
Right.
work
great.
together. The way
And then we're going to need volunteers. It starts at 4, so we probably need to be there by 3. Is that correct?
Okay.
3:30.
So
No, 3:30, I think was I think 3:30 was.
3:30? Okay. All right.
My
Yeah, I
thought,
can't be there by 3. I can be there between 3:30 and 3:45.
yeah, whenever you get
Yeah.
there.
And what do you need volunteers for?
Serve the food, give out some cookies, keep people in line. Social distancing.
Okay, because Antonio, I need something where I can sit. I can't stand.
All right. Well, I guess we'll figure out something for you to do.
Yeah, because I asked to sit at the table to do the tickets and stuff because I can't stand.
I
Okay.
think, I was wondering, Debbie, if you might want to be at the end of the distribution line, and we really often need help separating the bags and opening the bags for
That's
us to
true.
put the food in. And
I
you could sit for
probably
that.
do that. Yeah.
Yes, that is
'cause-
true.
Yeah, because my feet and my back, there's no way I can stand for that long.
No problem.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, because I can stay as long
That would be
as
a
whatever, as
big
long as
help.
I'm sitting.
we would have a chair for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll put a chair there.
Right.
yeah, because I can stay the whole time as long as I'm sitting.
Okay. That's no
Yeah.
problem. So we could, we're an accommodating group of people. We've done these before.
Yeah.
So
I also wondered if we wanted to assign somebody to just help people, welcome them and thank them for coming, and kind of orchestrate the 3 to 3 foot social distancing aspect of it.
true. Who wants to serve, first of all? Who wants to be
Me,
able to
I
serve?
want to.
That's Lori,
I'll serve food.
Audrey.
I will
Okay.
not be able to be there, folks.
That's okay, Trish.
Sorry, Tricia.
We'll find other things for you to do.
Clean up the next day.
Then I guess I could do the social stuff, since I am kind of a social bird anyway, and talk to people and thank them for coming, and then help and social distancing and that type of stuff.
If you-
And library calendars.
I could do that too.
Well, there you go.
All right, I can do that too. We want you to come to the library too. Okay, so I'll do the social distancing and thanking people for coming and that type of stuff. Okay.
How many people do you think we need to do the serving part? We need a person on the chicken, the corn, the cookies, the coleslaw,
Potatoes.
the potatoes. So like 4.
Well, all the coleslaw and everything, all should be packaged up right in little containers, and the potatoes. So you're just kind of putting, you can set that stuff in and then just add the chicken and then go.
Yeah, I
So,
think 3 is enough.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like good.
Yeah.
Are any of the library staff going to help?
No, they'll be inside. They never help.
No.
We don't
Oh,
expect
okay, I
them
was
to.
just asking.
We don't usually expect them to. They usually are inside, and and then we just do it to have fun.
Well, it sounds like I've been to the fundraiser and gotten the chicken. I just never helped. So,
Yeah.
So, Antonio, is there anything else you'd like to discuss as far as the barbecue?
Well, I hope we can. How many tickets do we have out so far, Judith? Don't ask that question.
I've gotten tickets back from a few of you, and tickets have started selling at the library. They always sell so many more the 2 days before. I think we sold like a dozen tickets so far at the library. People never buy them this far. Actually, I think that's more than we've usually sold this far out. It's always the week of. So I can get you a number tomorrow. I haven't tallied.
Okay.
Deb brought in 10 this evening, right, Deb?
yeah, I brought in 10 and I picked up 10 more today.
Right?
We'll probably need some
Great.
cash to make change.
Oh, yep, I'll take care of that.
Yeah. But I think we already got the people going to collect the money or the tickets. We've already got the servers. We already got the bag opener, and we got the person who's going to be the socializer and give everyone a cal. I think we're okay.
Great. Then thanks so much, Antonio, for pulling it all together.
Well, I want to thank Marie for helping me.
And
With
Marie.
and Megan and Joe and all of you. So.
Yeah. Well, let's chat about the staff luncheon. Do we want to shoot for a date? And I guess it should be soon if we want to do it outside.
Is that something we do?
Yeah, we usually in the past
Didn't do it last year.
No. Judith, how long do we have the tent?
The tent's ours.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Do you anticipate having it up through October?
I do.
Okay.
Is it the one we had at the Friendship Festival or another
No,
tent?
it's a much bigger tent.
Or is it like a big white one?
It's green, but yeah, it's like a carport.
It's like a party tent.
More like people have them for carports. It's kind of that kind of tent.
Oh, okay.
So who puts on the staff luncheon?
You generally make stuff. Like somebody brings a salad, somebody brings drinks, somebody brings a sub, somebody brings dessert. And then we just it's a small fit for the staff.
Oh.
And stuff you can bring the day before? Because I'm at work. So I can't
sure, absolutely. Okay. You could do something anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does everybody feel okay about potluck? I mean, like in terms of people touching things, and I don't know, I'm fine with that, but
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And it's honestly, it's just for all of you who work together all the time anyways.
That's true.
Judith, do you think, let's see, there's 7 or 8 of us on the board, and how many staff?
10.
18.
So that's 18. Does that sound like we could socially distance in that tent? Do we have enough tables?
We do. We have a lot of tables, and invariably someone will I feel like this month someone's been out sick every day, and then invariably someone's on vacation, or so we won't, and then that includes Lori. So we would shoot for a time where most people would be there, but I would say we'd have 7 or 8 probably is.
Well, does anybody have a thought about what date? I think we should do it. Certainly not the week of the barbecue, but maybe within 2 weeks of the barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, is there a day or time that makes more sense for your staff, Judith?
Yeah, I mean, I would say 12:30 or 1. That way, the people who work the morning are still there, but people you finesse the edges on that a little bit. Thursday, I do my staff meetings on a Thursday because that's the best day. We could do a Thursday at 1 or a Thursday at 12:30. Let's do 12:30. Brendan has to be at his other job at Rensselaer by 2, I think.
Do you want to do it?
Did it October 1st? Is that the week after the barbecue?
That's a Friday. So the 7th? The 30th or the 7th?
I think the 7th sounds good.
Yeah, and that's just before Columbus weekend, so.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to coordinate that because I do a ministry like that from my church and I cook for 20 people. I lead a team with that. So I'd be happy to coordinate the luncheon.
Oh, thanks,
You'd
Deb.
be okay with that?
We usually just quick go around at the board meeting and say so we could just start that for you right now if people.
You know what? I have a app I use and I send it out to you and you guys just fill it in and send it back to me.
Okay.
That's great.
We'll save some time and just do it that way.
That's great.
Yeah,
So-
I can just glance at our schedule in October.
Okay.
We've got the person who does the schedule has been out. So actually, we're behind on the schedule. So I don't think I even have that schedule done yet. So yeah, let me get that schedule done, and then I can confirm that date.
Well, I'm
Okay.
happy we're gonna pull it together. That's great.
That'd be nice.
Okay, we've
I
got.
think it might be good if we serve, if one of us serve, since, I mean, if it's gonna be 18 people, I don't mind serving the food to people. That's no issue. If I'm able to come, to get off work and come, it might be, you know, I know people like to pick what they want to choose, but maybe somebody can just serve them.
Couple of us could be the people with the spoons and,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
You guys feel okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So the last thing in upcoming events is Sweets with Santa, which I usually do the first Friday of December, I think. And I guess one question is, do we want to do that this year?
So
That would
last
be-
year we had a virtual incarnation of it that I thought went pretty well. It's hard to know if a full year on, if people would still be willing to do it on Zoom. But the part that I think worked well, and you guys really made it work, is the kids sent a letter to Santa at the library, and a few of you helped me with the replies. And I think did a lot of letter to Santa services, but we were able to make it pretty personal, which was
I
really
enjoyed
nice.
that.
Yeah, that was the best.
I would like that.
So we could certainly do that again. And then I think we kind of tied it together was after Santa read his story, he did like a lightning round of, hey Bobby, great, he like had something really fast to say to each of the kids, which showed that he had read their letters.
Aw.
I'd be in favor of doing it that way again, just because we don't know how the fall is going to go, and it seems like the safest option. So I'm willing to write letters. It was a lovely thing to write letters back to the kids. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. That sounds like fun.
Okay.
Rush out the Santa stationery again.
I might be able to help with that. I might have some of that sitting downstairs. I might have something down there. I will go look.
Did you say this is a Zoom Sweets with Santa?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Lori made a motion to do this Sweets with Santa as a Zoom.
I think Marie wanted to say something.
I'm sorry, Marie.
It's okay. It's all right. We also passed out candy. In fact, I bought it last year. Remember, we had little bags so that when they could come into the library, I don't know if we still want to do that. And so I bought candy canes, and then I went up to Krause's and got some good chocolate, and wrappers, milk chocolate. So, and Soraya
I think definitely.
and Judith were there to put it together. For some reason, I've forgotten
I had a COVID
what, but
explosion.
I'll get the candy again this year.
I know I've got little like candy Christmas bags, or those little boxes that fold into a Santa or something like that. I know I've got those downstairs. My mother was a hoarder. Trust me, I got tons of stuff down there. So
We will help
I
you empty
will-
your basement.
you can help me empty my basement. I will look for those and bring them to Judith.
It sounds great. Thank you, guys. It sounds wonderful. And our last item is the strategic plan review, and our set goal is develop a mechanism to determine the needs and interests of tweens, teens, and emerging adults, which it kind of sounded like from earlier in the meeting, that's on its way.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we are starting a virtual teen advisory group. They will meet monthly. Liz is running it. The idea is just, get some ideas from the kids. I think we have the money to give them a little budget. So we want both their input on the space and their input on activities. We're hoping that the allure of some fairly easy community service hours will motivate them to participate. We will see. The good news is the middle school was going to have kind of a open house, welcome back to school night that the library was going to attend and have a table at, but it got canceled because, COVID. But I emailed the assistant principal and said, would it be possible to distribute some of what we would have had there? And he said, oh, absolutely, whatever you want, anytime. So they seem very open to that partnership. So fingers crossed. So that's in the works. But if anyone else, knows someone in the community that's doing good things with that age group that we could connect with or anything like that, please let me know.
Well, I'm really glad that, that seems to be a natural progression and that it fits it right into the, one of the goals. That's great. And I guess, we can accept a motion to adjourn, but I do want to thank everybody for their time tonight. And I know it's run a long meeting, and thank you all very much.
So we didn't need to go into executive session for anything?
We did not.
Okay.
No. So I think we can accept a motion to adjourn at 8:39.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Everybody's like, I got it.
And I promise I'll try to get better at this, and we'll try.
Recording stopped.
We had a lot to discuss.
Yeah,
You did a wonderful
did.
job.